So here's how you run a Facebook advertising campaign. You simply go to facebook.com/advertising and you can start building your first campaign. Now, if you've already set up a business manager and you know what that is, then go through there and do that to run your campaign. But basically, once you get to this screen to set up a new campaign, you can choose your objective. Now, our objective is we're going to send people to your website. So once you click on that, clicks to website, right? Increase the number of visits to your website. You're going to put in the URL specifically of the exact page that you want them to land upon. Now, I absolutely recommend you always use a tracking pixel on Facebook. And I'll give you the link later where you can go to learn how to set that up. I'm going to give you Facebook specific documentation exactly because they seem to change it from time to time, so I always want you to have the latest information. But you are going to select and choose a pixel. The pixel can track things such as cost per lead, cost per sell, and so on. And then you give it a campaign name. Once you do that, you click on the set audience and budget, and now you are able to move on to the next step, which is to create your ad set. So this is where you define your audience, your budget, and your schedule. Now, you could do custom audiences. That's beyond the scope of what we're doing here in Product E-Class. And, it's kind of a weird thing anyway on Facebook. So you're probably going to skip that. And you're going to start with locations. I recommend that you start with the most obvious geographic location for your offer. And ideally, later on, you even start breaking it down by state, potentially, or even certain zip codes, possibly. You can go like that. You can even get more granular, but at the very least, start with the United States. Then you can define your age. I very much recommend for all the different targeting you're doing, you slice down that targeting by age. So it'd be one thing to target people who are into green smoothies. It's another thing to target women who are into green smoothies. It's another thing still to target women between the ages of 30 and 35 that are into green smoothies versus women that are between the ages of 35 and 40 who are into green smoothies. By dissecting it down and breaking it down to an age that is very narrowly defined, you might have 10 different segments or 10 different ad sets, if you want to use the technical term from Facebook, on just women alone in the United States who like green smoothies. And those 10 different ad sets are just 10 different thinly sliced age demographics focused. I guarantee you will find one age outperforms every other age. And that's how you play it. That's how you play the game. So age, you can factor by age. You can factor by gender. You can even factor by language. Now, the very important thing is detailed targeting down there, which is actually, I'm going to move it over to the next slide here, and you can see some of the drop downs. And so you can detail target by demographics, interests, behaviors, and even more categories. So demographics, we talked about that already, where you can select and pick specific demographics. You can target, for example, males age 40 and 45 in the United States who live in Nashville, Tennessee, right? Now, under financial, you can even choose income levels, amongst other things. So you can target financial households that generate between $150,000 and $250,000 per year in income. You will notice on the right here, it'll tell you how many people match that. In this particular case, it's 2.3 million people, because that's the only thing I'm picking. It gives you the demographics, the description, as well as the source. And the source is big data. Facebook has so much different information to cross-reference and know exactly pretty much what everybody's making per year with very high degree of statistical accuracy. It's not even funny, right? The other thing that we can pick here is interests. So interest is another detailed targeting opportunity. So we talked about financial, we talked about demographic targeting, detailed targeting, but we can also target by detailed interest. So an interest, one of the interests is there's a category called food and drinks. And under food and drinks, there's an interest called cooking. And then under cooking, there's an interest called recipe. And there are 230 million people on Facebook between the age of 19 and 65 or older who live in the United States who have an interest in recipes. Now, I think that number's a little inflated, so you have to kind of take that for what it is, because the U.S. alone has like 318 million people. So I doubt, counting every baby that exists out there, that this is the actual number of people who are interested in recipes, or really interested in them, I guess, right? So that's why you want to do multi-targeting. You want to have demographic plus these interest, behavioral, detailed targeting. But you say description, people who have expressed of an interest in or like pages related to recipes, right? So you can also pick multiple things. So I can say, for example, behaviors. So I can say people who have an interest in recipes, who have who have displayed the behavior of a digital activity of FB payments higher than average spend. And the description here is people who have spent more than $100 on Facebook payments platform in the past 3 months. So according to Facebook, there are 864,640 people between the ages of 19 and 65 or older in the United States who are interested in recipes who have spent more than $100 on Facebook as a payment platform in the last 3 months. All right? Now, obviously, again, I recommend you get a little granular, not too granular. You don't want to be targeting just 20 or 30 or 40,000 people. Maybe you do. You don't want to be targeting 20 or 30 or 40 people, though, right? But, we can very much start saying we can add a behavior filter on top of a recipe filter, and then specifically women between the age of 40 and 45. And then we can run the same ad to those as we do between the women age 45 and 50 who live in the United States, who have FBA payments of higher than average spend, who are also interested in recipes. This is some of the detailed targeting that you can do. Now, this is a very important thing. In the past, up until recently, Facebook was usually inclusive only. So it'd be like this targeting, or that targeting, or that targeting, or that targeting. Now you can do exclusion. You could say all of the following or any of the following targeting behavioral attributes, interest attributes, demographic attributes, except for people who have blank or who are blank. So we could exclude college graduates if we wanted to. So we could say, I want to target people who are interested in recipes, who have a behavior demonstrated of having higher than average spends on Facebook payments, who are between this age and are in this location. And I want to advertise to all of them except college graduates. And so this is very powerful. So they meet these requirements, but they absolutely do not meet these other things over here. So you can narrow down and be very specific. And so this is why you want to create hundreds of different ad sets, each one of them with their own unique targeting or demographic or behavioral consideration. And you're going to run pretty much the same exact ad to each and every single one of these. Now, there's another thing when you set up your advertisement on Facebook called connections. This isn't something you're going to be doing at first, but after a while, when people have connected to your page or your app or an event, if you run events on Facebook, or they're friends of people who have connected to that page, or you're excluding certain people who have already connected to your page, right? Now you can start doing targeted advertisement based on people who've already interacted with you on Facebook in some way, shape, or form. So I just wanted to let you know that exists there if you drop down advanced combinations in the connections drop-down menu. So once you select and define and create your audience, the next thing you're going to have to do is set your budget. So this is your daily budget. Now remember, you should know what this should be overall across all your ad sets. So if you said, remember in the situation earlier, I said we had to spend $240 a day. So if I would, in that particular case, I might be creating 24 different ad sets. Each one that I might spend $10 a day on. Now, I probably wouldn't. I usually like to spend $5 a day. So I would create 48 ad sets that I'd spend $5 a day on. And as long as I spend all my daily budget, at least I'd be guaranteed to spend the amount of money I need to spend based on my projection and forecasting to help me hit my goal for a number of units I plan to sell on Facebook. So we can set the budget. We can set the schedule. We can select optimization for your ad delivery. So optimize the ad delivery for link clicks to your website. I always select automatic bid amount. Facebook is really good at it, I found. when you get charged, link, click, or you have other options. You can either pay cost per click or cost per impression and so on and so forth. You can schedule when you want to run your ads, and you can schedule your delivery type. You can play with all of those things. Usually the default settings are the ones that you're going to utilize and use. But if you want to see this here, you can optimize for ad delivery based on impressions, daily unique reach, and link clicks to your website. You can select manual, and you can specify your per link click that you wish to, if you wanted to go crazy like that. And you can modify and use any of these, and then you give your ad set a name when you're done. Now the next section here, after you set up your ad set, so far we've defined the objective, we selected our audience, we put our budget in place. Now we're going to have to actually create the ad. And so you can choose from a single ad or video or multiple images in your one ad. I have found, in general, a single image seems to perform better than multiple images. For now, with there's exceptions, and we'll talk a little bit about those. So you can create a new ad, or you can use an existing post from your Facebook fan page if you wish to. Okay? Now, if you decide, well, it doesn't really matter what you decide, you're going to need an image for your advertisements, right? So you can do an image or a video, I guess. I have found typically images outperform videos on Facebook, usually. And when you click on the image where it says upload your own image or choose images from Facebook pages or stock photos, this is what's really cool. If you don't have your own images that you want to upload, they have decent selections of stock images where you type it in and then you can select your image. I'll talk to you about the kinds of images that seem to work really good on Facebook here later. Right now we're just going through the setup process. We'll talk more about the optimization on an ad level and even on interest-based and selecting later on here in the training. So once we select our image, then we have the ability to start building our advertisement. So we would first select our fan page we want to advertise from. We would write our headline, our text. We would select our call to action button. We would have our newsfeed link description, our display URL, and we can even add URL tags here that help us track certain specific behavior based on if you're using Google Analytics or other analytics account to see down to the actual specific ad where they're clicking on and what they're clicking on. Usually you're going to skip URL tags until you really get the hang of this thing. So this is an example of all the different call to action buttons that you can select upon. From apply now, book now, contact us, donate now, download, learn more, shop now, sign up, watch more. Some of these are obviously going to be reliant on the type of advertisement that you're sending them, or the type of landing page you're sending them to. Others, I found it's good just to test around and mess with them. But by understanding this process here, you'll be able to set up a campaign, define its objective, target a certain specific audience based on demographic, interest, and or behavior, set your daily budget and how you plan to spend that budget, and then create your ad, and then place your order and wait for them to hopefully approve your advertisement, and then you're going to start be able to get clicks to your website.